Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Jonathan, and welcome back to Money Talks, where we want to offer you financial information and meet you where you are financially so that you're able to stick to your budget, manage to pay off debt, and begin to save on your path to building wealth. Today, I want to take a little bit of time and discuss with you the importance of not forcing the math. If this is your first time joining me here on the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and you will be notified every time I upload a new video. So I know from the title and how I brought this video in, you might be thinking, he's going to be talking about equations, percentages, all those different things. But this is going a little bit on a different side of things when it comes to your budget and the math. And understand this, when you're thinking about your budget, the math really isn't too complex. Add, subtract, and that's it. If you take your income, subtract your expenses, that's what you have for the month. That's what you have to live on. It's not too many different ways to kind of disguise that or come up with equations or anything of that nature. But in terms of not forcing the math, you have to understand how each category and where you put your priorities of your money really affects how you're able to make financial progress. Again, you can always make progress on something, but in the end, think about it this way. When you are writing your budget, we all are writing our budget. We all have our plan, and our plan is eventually so that we can amass some sort of level of wealth. Now, what level of wealth really kind of depends on you, meaning are you continually trying to increase your income? Then even if you are increasing your income, how much are you really setting aside so that you can save and invest? And then when you're doing the save and investing portion, does that come at a cost of, hey, I might not buy as much or as new of a car right now, or as much of new of a house right now? The things you do, the trips you take, the times you go out to eat, spending time with friends, happy hours, all those different things, they play a part in your financial plan. And when you make decisions and you're not looking at how much of a impact that price and that total is taking on your whole scenario, that's where we usually get ourselves into trouble. So I want to walk through a couple examples of what I mean about not forcing the math. So typically, one good thing that I've seen, or one thing that I've seen that kind of really jams people up, is you go too fast, meaning you might get married, or you might just get out of college, or something that we describe as a life event. Got a new job, got married, have a kid, all those different things. It causes you and it motivates you to go out and buy something big. So in college, most common case, you get an apartment, but you buy a new car. In marriage, you can buy a house, you pay for a wedding, a big honeymoon. There are several different things that usually come with that marriage thing. But on top of all that, if you're married and then you have a kid, typically is you get married, have a kid, you got all the little things that come with getting married, but you might not recover from the wedding, but you buy a house, you buy a car, and you do these things simultaneous. And the fact is, when you're thinking about money, just like when you're thinking about things in business or in life, money, you can scrutinize on the small decisions, but the big and the best decision that you can make, or the best use of your time, is to really focus on the big decisions. So for majority of people, the house and the car are the biggest option. So in any case of these scenarios, why do we say keep the house to about 25%? Why do we say keep the car to about 8%? Because number one, when talking about house, we're talking about HOA, tax and insurance, out the door, the monthly cost that you're paying per month is about 25% of your income. Understand that that piece of the equation works for about, if you're lucky, 1 year. And the reason why it works that way is because after 1 year, hopefully that, and you're expecting this, that your income, not your income, but your real estate, your property value will actually, your home value will improve. If your home value is improving, yeah, your principal and interest payments, that's the same, but your taxes is the piece that keeps moving up with it. So that piece of income that you were affording or were not affording, whatever the case may be, that actually dips into if you were to get just a normal cost of living raise. So that pretty much soaks you up right then. The car piece is because it factors in, hey, how can we overall keep all of our expenses, keep everything we have down to, from a bare minimum, just great foundation, 50% of our income. So if you have 25 on the house, 8% on the car. Now, understand with the car, that's gas, it's oil changes, that's kind of regular maintenance that you can predict throughout the year, plus insurance, and if you have a car note, all that's included in that 8% per year. And you want to look at your 8% net. You want to look at, for the house, you want to look at 25% net. All these numbers are net. Now, when you go get approved, they're, of course, always thinking about your gross number. But this is about net. So going back, you have 25% of your income that should go to housing. Then you have 8% of your income that goes to car insurance, all those things that go with having the car. That puts you at 33. Well, like I said, we want to keep things at or below 50%. So that means you have another, 12% left? 17% left. So what usually takes that up? Well, you have your eating out, you have your utilities, so you have electric, you have gas, phone, most people have cell phone, internet, cable, counseling services, anything that you could think of, that's what you kind of fill in for that rest of 50%. And if you don't have any of those things and you're lower than 50%, well, you're already doing pretty good. Then you want to look at, okay, what's the other side of the equation? Well, and I'm only using the 50-30-20 rule framework just to give you an idea how this works. So ideally, we want you to save 20 to 25% of your income saving and investing. Well, 50 plus 25, that's 75. So that means you have fun within there, and if you have debt and you're paying off your debt, well, that means some of your fund money is actually in that 50% needs, that first 50%. And if you're paying off debt, well, that's where typically the last 25% goes. So how do you usually get ahead with that? Well, once you get your income to the 50%, then you look at, okay, in your original column, always have some sort of giving in that column with your rent, with your car, with your utilities, all that type of stuff. So that's within that 50%. So really it doesn't leave you too much margin. But when you're looking at this whole piece of pie that you're trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to get ahead? How am I going to figure things out? Well, if you're spending 25% on debt and you're spending 25% on savings and investing, you would think that would, in theory, make you feel good about your scenario. But the fact is, those numbers, no, it really doesn't. Because we as humans, we like to enjoy ourselves, and we especially like to enjoy ourselves once we have worked a certain amount of time. So it's really important for us to understand, okay, how do I make and clear up and put margin in my life so that I can enjoy my money as well as hit my financial goals? Because meeting your needs, where you're living at, buying your home, renting, whatever the case may be, that's important just as well as the car you drive is important, or having a car to drive is important, not so much what you're driving. But then paying off your debt, getting ahead of your debt, or saving and investing, those things are probably out of our whole thing. The savings and investing is the most important part of the pie because that's what's going to move you forward. So how do you kind of figure out what to do? How do you try to make sense of this whole budget thing? Well, when I say don't force the math, it means don't load up your whole budget with just payments. It's okay to say, hey, I got a raise. I'm not going to go buy a new car. It's okay to say, hey, you know what? Let me look at my budget. Maybe I'm at a store. Oh, we got 4 easy payments of X. That's not really going to fit my particular budget. And it's more important for you to realize when you're doing this number, when you're trying to figure out your net number, you're typically figuring out if you make the average income, which is about $60,000 a year, and you take most people in an average tax bracket for that 20% of that, then you're down to maybe 45, something of that nature. So you don't really have as much money. You would think you do. And a lot of people, when they're in this situation, when you're talking about your budget, a lot of people like to answer a question, I felt like I could pay for it. I really thought it was there. Well, the fact is, the good thing about money is you don't have to guess if the money is there. Because if you're actually going, and maybe you're used to buying what you want, or maybe you're used to, hey, just it all seems to work out. Well, the thing is it really working out? How much do you have saved? How much do you have invested? Do you still have debt hanging around? How long have you actually been making payments right now? And the thing is, it's not to judge you, and it's not for you to feel any type of way. But when you think about, hey, I've been making payments for 2 or 3 years. I've been making payments for 7 years. I've given over this amount of money. Have I even made any progress on trying to pay off my debt? Or have I made any type of progress on saving towards my future? And the only way you can do that is when you fully look at what's going on and then attack one thing at a time. Don't force the math just simply means, yeah, you live on less than you make. Finding ways to decrease the amount of money you need to live off of. So maybe at 60,000, you're living off 45% of 60,000. But there are 2 ways to really fix that number and really get it down. You can decrease your expenses, but I will tell you the suppression method, it's helpful. It helps teach gratitude. It helps teach contentment. It helps you really understand the value of a dollar and what things are important and the needs versus wants. It does all of that. But when you're talking about a sustainable thing, what is that life gonna be actual sustainable from you suppressing and not doing so many things for, say for 4 or 5 years? Is that really gonna help you? Or are you gonna have a little spending outburst, or is it gonna drive you crazy like the walls are coming in? And then the other side of that equation is I gotta increase my income. So the first thing about budgeting, and I did this myself, when you talk about the math was, oh man, I got to try to afford this thing. or I'm trying to get myself out of debt, or I'm trying to hit this financial goal, I always said, what can I cut back? Because the initial thought is, what can I control? But whether you're trying to increase your income or decrease your expenses, you can actually control on both ends. You have to have a regular plan that decreases your expenses, but you also need to have a plan of, I'm always trying to increase my income. So whatever the case may be, don't settle for the job that you're in. It's great and it's a privilege to have that job and it helps you meet your needs. But your goals may be bigger than what that job can actually afford you. So you may need to actually look for another job. Don't disregard the fact of part-time or extra income using your skill sets. Do something you love, but then it's okay to earn $1 for it. Don't even discount the fact of maybe opening an online business, something that's going to bring you income. It's okay if it takes maybe a small investment, but with any business, you want to run slowly if you're going to have to gain expenses. The point of all this is when you're looking at your income and when you're looking at the math, I mean, there are things that we all need. We all need a house. We all a place to stay. We all need a car. We all need clothes, and we all need food. So those things don't ever change. But all the other things you can kind of negotiate on. Do you need cable? Do you even use it? Do you need the latest phone? I'm filming this video on a Samsung S7. I probably do need another phone, but the fact is, I've been having this phone for, I don't even remember when the phone came out. But I do remember when I found out I was paying an extra $40 for the phone. And I do remember paying the phone off. And I definitely remember how cheap my phone bill is by not having that. So really assessing all those different things. Is your job even conducive to what you're trying to do with your life to free things up? How you make income is not important. It's where you're making that income. And what I mean by that is you can do a technological skill set, but you can be in an industry that doesn't really pay it well. So if you really love your job, does it really matter that you're doing that skill set in more of one of the hotter markets of careers, tech, real estate, investments, or industry, whatever the case may be? Does it really matter? Because if you're an HR person, you're an HR person anywhere. If you can code, if you can be a leader, you can typically be a leader anywhere. Even if you're a teacher, you can be a teacher on many different things. You don't have to be a teacher in secondary education or in a low income, unless that's your passion. But when we're talking about things on how can we grow our income, well, you could be a tutor, you could be a trainer. Everything needs to be taught in some form of fashion. You could be a coach of some sort. There are many different options you can definitely have if you expand just your mindset and willing to step things out. And the fact is, all these things with not forcing the math, and the biggest thing it does for you is it creates options. It creates your freedom. It creates your ability to, number one, think and create and be able to put out good things into the world, but it also helps you have that margin where you just get to live more calm and peacefully. And that's ultimately what I want for anyone with their money journey. And I know you would want it too. You have that option. Yeah, you can go buy it if you want, but you're okay if you don't. And that's why you can't force the math. The math really tells the truth, because keeping your categories in suggested percentages, all it does is it allows you to have margin to, if you need to pay off debt, it allows you the margin to save and keep your life going. It allows you the margin to have that money just there for when things pop up, because we live a life where every month something could pop up and you got to have the money to pay for it. And that's the thing that payments don't. See, payments, when you bog down your whole life with payments, it assumes that your income is going to be there for the next 5 years. So who knew 3 years ago that the pandemic would hit and just the world would stop? Unfortunately, it caught a lot of people off guard because they weren't prepared, or maybe they overextended themselves. But for those who were prepared, this really didn't affect them too much at all. And that's what I want you to learn today. Your freedom is not in the payments. It's really, in fact, in your ability to just simply say, hey, I got to do better with my money. I got to add, subtract, and see what I have left. Yes, I need to cut up some things, but I do need to grow my income. And I can do that. It may take a little bit. It may take a little effort. It may take a whole lot of no's. But if I keep my money in these categories, if I understand and build my lifestyle in a way that makes sense mathematically, that allows me to, that piece alone allows me to have the margin to do what I need to do, have that extra money. But I get to spend without forgetting or doing all the other goals: saving, investing, paying off debt, having a house, running your house, operating your house, whatever the case may be. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. Go ahead and give the video a thumbs up if you found some value. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video.